You're welcome back to my channel. Have you ever thought for a minute about what it takes to live a Canadian dream as an immigrant here in Canada? It's not all about maple syrups and snowflakes. The reality is what you will find in this video. So let's dive in more about this topic. My name is Afolake and I've been in Canada for the past 5 years. I moved into Canada with my family and it's not been that maple syrup because I feel that moving to Canada or that Canadian dream have been overrated. So many people back at home will look at moving to Canada as a dream. It can be a dream because you have not experienced it. It is a valid dream. Don't get me wrong. But the Canadian dream on its own way surpass that dream that you foresee moving into Canada when you're back in your home country. I will explain a little bit more. As an immigrant here in Canada, moving to a foreign land, moving to a diverse country, moving to a country whereby you have to feel the necessity to blend or feel among into the culture that is already existing. It's a whole lot. So for me or for my family as an example, moving in to be able to settle into that new culture was a total game changer because there were so many things that were different. There were so many things that were new. There were so many things that were alien to us, even till now. Because even at work, when I'm speaking to an immigrant colleague or even a Canadian, and they begin to talk about how they still raise their children. Don't forget that I have teenagers. I came in with a teenager and a preteen, and life was totally different. Getting them to understand the culture as they begin to blend into it and get confused about which culture do I choose from? My culture back at home or from the culture that they've been trained for over 12 years coming into Canada, or the new culture that they want to feel among and embrace so that they don't look alien or they don't look left behind, was a total battle for them and even for us as parents, because we constantly will have to reassure them that you don't have to be like this for you to be able to feel that you belong. So apart from raising children, the Canadian dream could also be for you expectant of getting good jobs, trying to feel among, and the reality of you matching that experience from your home country. Like most of the videos I've done in the past, we talk a lot about, especially us Nigerians that are well-read professionals, articulating the things that we do, and we move here and begin to do some jobs that are totally alien to us. Do you call that a Canadian dream? Most immigrants don't even foresee this, and when we talk to them about these experiences and how it might shift your orientation a bit, eventually moving you into that particular dream or that reality as a Canadian eventually will mean a lot to you in you changing your perspective or your orientation. Is it also building a life here? Is it also adapting to the culture? Like I talked about the children, even as adults, it's difficult to adapt to the culture here. It's so alien. Even right now, I'm still adapting. There's so many alien things that go around. There's so many things that you know, culture-wise, you feel this is alien to me. I've grown up over 40, moving to Canada, and you know, you can't really change an old wine, putting it into a new wineskin. It is so difficult. And as much as you want to blend this culture, it becomes something really tough for you as an immigrant. As many of you are probably planning to move to Canada in 2025, understand that this Canadian dream can mean so many things to different people. And being open-minded, honestly, will help you to be able to find a mix or a blend in between these two realities. You can't totally throw out the towel that have brought you up from when you were born to this stage, and you can't 100% embrace. For the children, it probably might be easy for them to embrace because they probably don't know so much about the culture back at home, and if they do know, they will spend more years here in Canada than they actually spent back at home. So it can be acceptable, but I would always say don't let your children totally throw out their culture. I love the Chinese, for instance, and some of the Indian colleagues that I have, when they speak to their children, they speak in their language. You don't have to understand what they say. Some of us like to always speak in English, which is totally good. It's been our lingua franca back in Nigeria. But we also have our local dialects that we must embrace. We must teach our children. That is still where we're from. I'm still a Nigerian first before a Canadian. And because I'm a Canadian doesn't mean I throw away. Thankfully, I have dual citizenship. I'm not from a country whereby getting a citizenship in Canada would mean me throwing away my Nigerian citizenship. So why can't I blend those two cultures together? I spoke a little bit about work, and the reality again is that it comes here and there for different people. Some come into Canada and they find their expectation met right from the onset. Some would not, and it's not a cause. Some will never, because moving to Canada would mean different things to different people. Some might have it good with jobs, some might have it good with raising their kids, some might have it good with even starting a business, some might have it good even in their relationship, some might throw away their marriages moving to Canada. So that Canadian dream, you must identify what that dream should be for you before you step out, and be able to hold that dream to your dear heart and constantly remind yourself why, or ask yourself this question: why did I move abroad? That is what will keep that expectation real for you, because truth be told, there's so many things that happen here in Canada. With jobs, there's the constant Canadian experience demand. There's always the credential recognition that has almost faded away, except you get that recognition or those credentials here in Canada. There's always constant competition with the job, or in the job market. If you look at statistics, you'll see that there's always a decline, or there's a constant decline in job availability. And with AI even coming to the forefront, it's getting tougher. Most companies are finding it easy to get jobs done faster using technology than even hiring humans like you and I. So you must evaluate this in the job market and see how your job skills would be able to settle within, technology, or even whatever you're doing. So there must be a technology part, in the sense that you can work from home, you can work remotely, you can do it from anywhere. That means you can get jobs from far and near, whether you're settled in a particular province or not, even in Canada. Because if your job actually just demands you 100% in person, it might also be difficult for you in this age of technology. So you must evaluate that, and that should also be part of your expectations in this Canadian journey as a Canadian, for a Canadian dream. Another Canadian dream expectation is, or the reality is actually, changes in the weather. I come from a really humid and temperate country, whereby in fact, right now we're in December, the temperature will still be resonating between like a 20, it might be cold now. That's what we call our own winter, when there's Hamatan. But right now in Canada, we are fluctuating between, well, in fact, we're in the minus, and in the past few days, we've actually gone into like minus 20 something, minus 30 something. And that is the reality. Is that the Canadian dream that you're expecting? And, looking at that means you must adjust. And if you're not the type that is easily prone to adjusting into the realities of things around you, it will be difficult for you. That won't be a dream. That won't be a reality come true for you. You know, like in Nigeria, we fluctuate between two seasons, the wet and dry seasons. And we know that even with whatever clothing and accessories and things that we wear, or even how we move around, we can juggle it around. It's just an umbrella away in the rain. But here in Canada, we are throwing or pushing aside, or boxing, I will put in that sense, all the things that we want in summer. But except you can wear them in your home, like this clothes I'm wearing now. I dare not step out like this without putting a winter coat on, a hood on, a gloves on, a boot on, and so many other things that would make me be adaptable to this season. And this is so huge for so many people that, in fact, it also depends on the province that you move to. Like in Saskatchewan, it is extremely on the high side. When it comes to winter, it is cold. You can move to Ontario, where right now they probably haven't seen snow as we speak, or it's really not so much, the weather is not cold for them. So you must determine what your threshold is and where you want to step into in Canada when you're trying to move here. Another adaptation will be in the workplace, like punctuality, like embracing the diversity in the workplace. Sometimes the kind of jokes that they crack are not laughable, I would say. Sometimes the things that they say, you just wonder, what? Somebody was asking me in the workplace if I had staples, and I was like, what do you mean, stapler? I call it a stapler, what you use to staple documents together or paper together. But they were actually asking for the pins, and I said, oh, the pins. So these are some of the adjustments. There's so many things like this. There's so many languages that are alien to us. The way we say some things are so different that it confuses the people around you what you really mean, and you probably will have to Google, share pictures, or maybe just show an expression of something that relates with what you are saying particularly. Those are phases of adjustment. And over time, you see yourself changing and begin to, talk like them or behave like them, and even switch totally. Right now, you'll be saying staples instead of pins, for example. And those are kind of the adjustment that you need to look forward to if you're moving this way. You must also, in fact, this one is really huge about balancing your life and balancing your family life. Back in Nigeria, you have people helping, you have people working. I had a driver. He will clean my car before I get down in the morning. He takes me around the city anywhere I want to go to, even personal things to family things. He can go as far as I can send him as far as out of city to maybe go drop things for my parents. I can, he was my personal driver, but here you are personal to yourself and you drive yourself. There's nobody that helps you around here, and everything has to be paid. There's something that has to go in exchange for a service here. In Nigeria, you can tip somebody, or you can actually do stuff for free, or you are helping people because we are just, it's just a culture for us. But here in Canada, there's no free lunch. Oh. There's no free lunch. If you are not working, you don't get paid. You must understand that culture. I know even in Nigeria, sometimes on Fridays, like we are already wound down. People will probably walk away at 12 noon, or just say that, look, they put engagements in it like Fridays, like in the afternoons, and they just from break time, they go away. Yes, I know they'll take permission, but that vibe is already there on a Friday. But here in Canada, if you no work, you know it. There's no food when you're not working. So you must understand the culture. Some workplaces, they have to clock in, and that timestamp means a lot for payday. So all of these things are one thing you must understand based on your Canadian dream. You can't just come to work for people that even don't have sustainable jobs. They have to do like 2, 3 jobs to be able to put those monies together to pay their bills. You can't really pay bills or keep bills for later. In Nigeria, you can for some bills, and whatever would happen, like if it was like your NEPA bill, for instance, your power bills, when they're extremely high, you can save them for later, or just, I'm not paying, and start running on your generator. But how do you do that here? In the winter, you dare not. You must pay your bills because you need heat to survive. With this expectation, you must also try to change your orientation for your family back at home, because it is not as usual. Some people will feel that I have family back in Canada, and so X and Y and this must be expectation. They will even be dictating to you what to give or send to them. They will even want you to say, maybe help with school fees. You see those kind of messages come to you. Those are expectations that you need to also throw back at your family or your friends back at home, because it is not the way it seems here. Nobody gives you. I know in Nigeria, when I run business, some of my businesses, or if I'm short of funds, I know who to run to. Even if I'm not even going to the bank, that I'll be paying extra interest on, loans, if it's just a short term money that I need for a month or two, I know where to run to and I'll get that money. Nobody does that here in Canada. Nobody does that. You're probably running on your line of credit, or you're going on your credit card, and then you are paying that down yourself. So even running businesses here, it takes a lot for you as an individual. You must have an orientation shift. You must have a learning, you have learning to do, which will help you to be able to know and understand all the expectations and the reality that this Canada dream has brought you here in Canada. And one thing I always will talk about, when you are here, some of the expectations or the realities that you must understand is that you must be able to plan your expenses. Hey, in Canada, plan. If you don't plan, you run the risk of going bankrupt because you'll be spending unrealistically. And in Nigeria, like I said, you always find somebody to give you money. Me, I always find there's no dull time. I don't, when you're looking for money, you will always find somebody to run to. My auntie, my uncle, my brother, my sister. Even if they will dash you, or even if they will lend you, you will find money. But here in Canada, it's not like that. So if you have plans, even the Bible says, look, when anybody that is planning to build a house, you must count his cost first. So if you are probably trying to buy a car, you're trying to buy a house, you're trying to do some big plans, and you don't have plans in place, or you have not budgeted, you have not saved money to that effect, how do you want to run that deal? It is so difficult here in Canada, and that's why you see people running around in cycles doing multiple jobs and being able to service that expense. So you must plan your finances well, and that's why there's so many ways to plan to save for your future. In this place, they don't bury people on the road though. There's no way. If you see, you can't even find people on the, and even you have to plan even for your burial, because Canada is so different. It's so different, and some people find it difficult to understand, and they feel, why would I be doing insurance, or why would I be saving money for this, for the future and that? But that is how it is run here in Canada. Your pension, when it comes to you, in fact, will it serve you even if you have actually wound down? So you must understand that there must be so many other plans in place to help you at your old age. And thankfully, Canada has so much. The TFSA, the RRSP, you have even the old age security, or the benefits that you get. Apart from your pension, there's so many other things. And if you run personal businesses, you can always have other sources of income that can continue to duplicate income for you as you wind down. So please put plans in place, put budgets in place with your expenses, how you find, how you plan your expenses, even with your family income. This is so crucial. It's not like, in fact, the difference again is that here in Canada is one part of one spouse cannot totally run the show, because no matter how much that person earns, you will stress that person out, because there's bills to be paid, there's rent to be paid, there's so many expenses to be made, and the person is working tirelessly, and God forbid whatever happens to the person, how do you now sustain that income if the person passes on, for instance? So you must understand that both hands have to be on deck. Here in Canada, you are either paying bills and somebody is running the show for the home. You probably walk around those expenses based on what works for you in your family. And this is something that you must know. Is this a reality? Some people that have only their husbands working back at home, and they feel they want to be housewife in Canada, don't think, oh, except when you're raising younger kids. Okay, I understand. But even at that, I tell people there's something that you can bring to the table. Canada does not encourage lazy people. No. Forget if you get child benefit or not, or if you get GST or not. Payback time is coming. Canada give you right hand money, use left hand to collect it back. So they actually are not giving you money. That's the truth. Right now we're talking about removing GST for 2 months, but guess what? Expenses have gone up. If you go to the grocery store, what used to be $5 has gone to like $7 or $8. So who is it? They're robbing Peter to pay Paul. There's no free lunch here in Canada. So that is the reality that I feel that you must know ahead of time. If you're already here, I know you understand, or you're trying to grasp it. But particularly, I am trying to make sure that those of you that are coming to Canada don't have too much of expectation. Canada is not heaven, no. So don't think that all your life will turn around and you become like, you will not lack again, or you will not, or you feel that everything will begin to work like you have planned. You can plan it. It's good to plan, put plans in place, but be realistic with your plans. So understand how to build credit, understand how the tax system works. All of these are beneficial to you. Those are things you can check my previous videos. You'll see so many things that I've said concerning this particular topic that can help you to be able to stay afloat of debt. You must understand that the Canadian dream is not handed to you. You have to earn it. You have to work hard for it. So plan that part by yourself. And like they always say, The way you lay your bed is how you will lie on it. So how do you want to lay your Canadian dream? It shall be well with all of us. So if you're here in Canada, please share your experience here. What's your Canadian dream? How has it been so far? How have you really met your expectation? For me, it hasn't really been totally expectation met, and I don't know if anybody has really, maybe there's people that have met the expectation, maybe, but for me, it hasn't really. We're still work in progress. We're still 5 years down the line, and I know that maybe in another 1 or 2 years we can be revisiting this conversation to see where we are. But I'm grateful all the way, all the same, for how far we've come, because it's been a blessing as well to all of us that have moved here in my family. So I'm still thankful about that. So what's your experience? Share in the comment section and let's talk about that. So if this video has resonated with you in any way, please put that comment down in the comment section and share your thoughts, share your experiences, and let's continue this conversation from there. I will see you again in another vlog. Hopefully I can post another one before the year runs out, and we'll be here in 2025. See you guys.